Hey friendos, this is MRSSSTIX bringing you all a look at yet another game, while not an MMO, in no way lacks some of the key multiplayer aspects of an MMO, minus the massive, but you know what, covering MMOs is mostly STIX's job, not mine. My hope is instead to simply showcase the games you otherwise might not know exist, that I personally either enjoy playing or the alternative felt were bad enough to cover. Today we'll be taking a look at Smalland: Survive the Wilds, an early access survival game that can hold up to 10 players per server. It recently launched on Steam and Epic Games Store for PC as of March 29th, and is developed by Merge Games. The servers in questions have two types, either PvP or PvE. For those of you that recall, I love survival games and the challenges that come with them. The bad clunky combat that most of them employ, the irritation of dying and having to traverse across hundreds of miles to hopefully retrieve your items, and item condition deteriorating. The joys. But I won't bug you with the details of what I enjoy about these games. Let's fly right into this game. The purpose of Smalland is to, well, survive, and you, the small adventurer the size of Thumbelina, must go out into the great big world of Overland, which has giants, aka humans, to seek a cure for an ill queen of the small folk. With each addition of a player on the server, there is an increase in difficulty and increase in resources, so bear that in mind when inviting friends, especially if they're not very good at the game. As you navigate the map, you'll find other small folk in need of some form of help. Aiding these NPCs will progress the story as you deal with their problems, which, in my experience thus far, has been a series of encounters with rather large deadly boss insects and spiders. I've logged roughly 20 hours in the game and have only completed several boss fights while horribly failing at a third. The reason for this is because not only do you need to progress in gear and weapons, you'll need to utilize your antenna mode, aka detection mode, to discover what bosses and other creepy crawlies around the world are weak and resistant to. So hitting a boss with a blunt damage weapon when it's resistant to it might as well be tickling it, and this is true for the other world enemies as well. There are weapons that do edge, pierce, blunt, and elemental damage, so just because you craft a top-tier axe doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be doing maximum damage to the enemy you're fighting. This feature was ever so slightly irritating at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I felt it gave me more to grind and strive for, adding additional depth to the otherwise more shallow system. It also made it feel like crafting each weapon type was valuable as opposed to a personal fighting preference. Each weapon, excluding the bow, has its own unique little flair to it, but each one has light attacks, heavy attacks, and blocks. I found the blocking to be quite pointless at times because if you're in the middle of a heavy attack, you're pretty much animated locked. It was also extremely slow to respond. Also, if you feel like doing the Dark Souls route, you can just roll around endlessly until stamina gives out, or, avoid getting hit by sliding off to the side, or my personal favorite, just, run away. In addition to the weapons providing benefits in the form of edge, pierce, and blunt damage, there are armors that give you resistances to all three types of damage as well. It can even decrease your movement speed if your armor is made out of stone or an alternate heavy type of material. It can give you more protection if you choose sturdier materials, increase your movement speed if it's made of silk, or allow you to even float if it has wings. And while there are a variety of beneficial physical effects present, there are less immediate impactful additives such as cold protection. That will be necessary for the weather element that we'll get more into here shortly. Much like my experience with the weapons, the diversity in the armor ended up being slightly irritating. But ultimately, I felt it was well worth the investment as each armor type has its own unique uses. I have two major gripes with the armor though, first of all being the fact that I can't hide my helmet. As someone who loves creating characters and looking at them, I was not happy. Also, some of the helmets are downright weird looking, and I'd be happy to hide them if I could. Nextly, you are capable of crafting stations of various types at your house, but you can't craft the armors at your house. You have to go to each of the small folks out in the world that craft these armors and have it crafted there. You can repair it at your house, but you can't create it there. Now, I realize the map doesn't look very big, but when you're tiny, it's actually quite a large thing to wander around. The crafting in the game is rather simple, but it's the materials necessary to make some of these crafted items where the game gets more difficult. As you can imagine, most of the materials required for the crafting items are obtained through killing various things and also collecting various things out in the open world. Like most survival games, you'll need to upgrade the materials of your harvesting tools to harvest higher tier materials like flint versus metal, and everything is extremely spread out. There's no ideal spot, at least from what I've found, to settle down in so you can easily get these materials. They want you to go everywhere on this map, and each region has a degree of importance. For some materials, that will never stop being important. On a positive note, if you manage to successfully complete the jumping puzzle that involves climbing a great tree, you'll have a mobile home that essentially moves wherever you'd like to on the map, so long as you jump your way up another great tree to unlock it and claim it as your own. Now, this worked well with playing with just a couple of my friends since we all share the same house, but if you're on a public server or your friends want their own tree, that tree will be claimed by another person most likely, and you won't be able to utilize it unless they want it open to public. But if the trees are the limit, you can simply climb a large tree anywhere you see one and claim it as your own. All of your stuff and housing will poof into the new tree. This is beneficial if you want to live and focus your efforts in certain areas for a prolonged period of time. Now you're not limited to building atop trees, rather you can build on the ground or anywhere you'd like to that'll allow direct placement of your home. I just chose the tree because I enjoy the elevator lift that'll take me up and down, as well as the guaranteed safety from the creepy crawlies below. As an aside, I did find a way to essentially fast travel, and I'm not sure if they intended it or not, but if I'm halfway across the map far from home, I'd simply go to the main menu and restart my session. I'd instantly be teleported back to my home with my pet. So do with that information what you will, and if I'm being entirely honest here with all of you, I secretly hope they never fix this because I get so much done. Yet that part of me that hates abusing potential bugs leaves me wanting them to fix this, but it feels a little OP with the potential to avoid storms, fights, and is a great time saver. Building honestly felt slightly better than most survival games I've played, but has the usual list of irksome things, which I'll touch more on later. I just kind of needed a dream and the materials, and I could essentially make it happen. Your home can either be leaves, wood, or stone and have various decorative possibilities. Typically, if I play with other people, I'll work at building intricate homes while they gather, but since I was mainly pushing ahead by myself while my friends slowly caught up when they weren't working, I didn't have much time to create the wonders of some of the buildings I've seen folks create thus far. Maybe I'll make something happen before I post this video, since I do the voice part first and the video second. I don't know. If I do, I'll put it right here, future me. Good job, future me, or shame on you, future me. I don't know. The sky's the limit here. Now, to make things more homey, you can bring home a critter friend that you have tamed. I won't spoil too much here, but you can tame on the lower end of things ladybugs, grasshoppers, geckos, and a few others. Each tame has a unique benefit, such as your trusty grasshopper, which prevents you from taking fall damage after you've accidentally launched yourself off a cliff or leap really high up. The ladybug works like a pack mule, providing extra storage space while you're out and about, which is pretty nice since you have limited inventory space. And can I quickly point out here, this is one of the rare instances during a survival game where you have no weight restrictions. Your loyal companions will even fight alongside you, but don't expect too much, especially from the lower tier tames. My ladybugs typically died within 10 seconds of me taming it, and then I had to go back and track down my stuff it was holding, so I stopped bothering. My grasshoppers were jumpy little guys that would hop away from the fight and then suddenly reappear after the fight was over or when it was too late. They also died very quickly if they did jump into the fight. This was disheartening because gathering materials to craft the cakes you need to tame them at times took longer than they would survive for. So be prepared to lose them often if you like to pick fights with other critters. I found it easier to leave them to stay far away from the fight and then use my whistle to call them back to my side when it was over. It was also disappointing to only have one pet at a time. So if you think you're about to have an army of geckos, keep dreaming. While having a pet to sometimes help fight was helpful in theory, it did feel like I was a kid getting beat up and my lunch money taken more often than I'd like to admit. It was not kind. The enemies are super aggro and will hunt me down, usually much to my displeasure, right into the enemy 2 feet away. You can set the game to peaceful mode where the bugs don't aggro unless you attack, but they're still very difficult to fight. Though the danger of potential death around every corner is part of the appeal of survival games. Although, admittedly, I don't think I could have died any more than I did in this game, and I have played Elden Ring. When you do die, you at least leave a little tombstone with a candle on it and you can run back to it and collect your stuff, but that's under the assumption you can get your stuff. If you die from fall damage like my friend Rogue did, this can happen to you.
Fuck.
Or if you're like me and you die midair because of some elevator glitch that'll kill you if you dismount your pet while riding, then your stuff will be floating midair and you'll have no way of reaching it. Granted, they did patch this issue today, thank goodness. I need to go in and get my stuff. If the enemies in the world itself weren't enough, there's also weather that can kill you. The game has a functional seasonal system present, each with beautifully changing scenery and temperatures. During winter, which seems to last forever, you'll take constant cold damage, and it's wise to readily have gear to combat this and craft yourself foods that will aid you by providing a boost to your cold resistance. There are also storms that you can get caught in outside, and they will basically kill you within seconds if you do not find shelter immediately. They do give you warning before the storm hits, but sometimes that's not enough time to either build shelter or find some. I know according to the roadmap, which I'll show here on the screen while I talk about this, they will be working more on the weather system at a later date, which makes me happy, because during the winter time there are still flowers, bees, and other insects that otherwise wouldn't be out during this rather long season of snow and cold. You know, it's weird. There's also thunder going on during the snowstorms, which would make the thunder snow meteorologist really super happy, but for me, it doesn't fit since it's a rare event. I'd like to see some more diversity in between the seasons, either with vegetation, maybe some frozen streams or puddles. They already have varied enemies during night and day cycles. Enemies are more aggro at night than they already are, and new types appear, like moths and fireflies. I feel like with enough time, this game will truly find its footing and potentially shine within the survival genre. Overall, I think it already stands on its own 2 feet and is quite fun. With more time and more polishing, it'll do great. The game itself costs $24.99, but you can play with friends on servers that are completely free, so you only have to pay for the base game. I know a lot of folks are going to compare this to Grounded, but beyond the common similarity being that you are small, I feel like this game goes down a different route. You're a fantasy creature with various pets you can ride and fly, which is a small spoiler there. The weather system is impactful and the world is actually difficult. Though if you did enjoy Grounded or even Valheim, I think you will enjoy this game. Anyway, this was MRSSSTIX logging off for now to go play some more Smalland with my friends. Bye! Oh Jesus, what the fuck? Where the fuck did you come from?
What'd you find and what'd you break?
A fucking bull ant just came out of nowhere and like wrecked my...
Yeah, who does all the work? Yeah, No. No. It would no. Wait, how are you nodding? No. No. Are you just moving your mouse up and down? Oh, look,
wait.
Full moon. Oh, look, a full moon. Stab.
You ant, shove off. Fuck off.
Ah, fuck.
Hold on. Res you.
Can you res me?
No,
I'm actually. Say, is my stuff down below now though?
No. He's literally 2 feet from where you died before.
Are you serious?
And
And my stuff.
Yep. And
Mushroom?
It's the mushroom one more down.
Oh, yep, I see it.
Okay. And then from there, I don't know how you're gonna get down without dying.
That's what happens is I keep.
Just try to slide
Hold on.
down.
Let me see if I can.
Ooh.
Nope. And now it's gonna be on that. It's gonna be on that mushroom now.
Is it?
I hope.
No, it is not. It's still on the mushroom. That you tweeted last time. Just do the same thing you did 2 times before.
Listen, okay,
honey
I don't question my method. It's insanity, okay?
Okay.
No! No! I'm done.
No, 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 no! Oh! My stuff is floating in the fucking air.
Oh, did you just fall?